Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. I thought I would get in a couple of short little videos. I've got the fan on right now to try to keep it as quiet. AC is going to be coming on very shortly, so I want to try to get this in. I've got this journal here, and I basically, when I had done this journal, I was at a period of my life where I had a certain style, and what I've done since then is I've covered everything up with gesso. Okay, I've covered everything up because it's just not me at this point, and I absolutely love this this journal and just the cover. And I'm thinking this is going to be art that's me. Okay, not anybody else, me. So I want to show you. There's a particular spread here, and I covered this up with about 5 layers of gesso. And it's still not enough, and the reason being is that these are Sharpie markers that are just coming through, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm not going to waste $20 worth of gesso trying to cover this up. So I thought, well, why not practice what I preach? With all those DIY tissues that I created in the video, this would be perfect to create that, to cover that background. And not to say to cover it so it's completely opaque. You want to do that, just glue another piece of paper together, or just, you know, fasten these 2 pages together. So I thought, well, okay, that's too translucent. Not liking that blue. And then just basically go through. This actually works out quite well. Go through and just find something that you like. That would work, but I still have that, which I could, you know, put something else over it. I already know what tissue I'm going to use because when I was doing this on my own time, I thought, oh, I have got to show you guys this. Okay? The perfect one for this was this one here that I created, and it's on the backing of a napkin that is dollar store. Okay, dollar store napkin. And it covers it perfect. Just enough through to have some contrast. But let's see what happens when we actually collage it. You can do this on anything. Okay, upcycle your existing art. You've got art on canvases, on wood, masonite, whatever. Okay, if you can put paint on it, this will work. And it's great. It's like, I've got hundreds of canvases that are unused because they're taking up so much room. I really should use those up. But even more, I've got canvases that I used when I was teaching class demonstrations, and you know, why not just collage something on top and just make it something new? So I've got the Americana decoupage napkin medium, and I've got my brush here, and this brush I was doing a collage for another project which I'm going to be doing a video on, and I let the medium dry a little bit, so I had to soak this, just the bristles, overnight in 1000+ stain remover, and now it's back to normal. I'm going to put a good amount on the page. Now this journal is made of Terraskin, which is paper made of stone, and I do have a video on my YouTube channel, I believe it's still there, on how I did this. A good amount because there's so much texture on this. There's already collage on this page. I know some of you don't like to art journal, so just think of this as a canvas. This is just a surface. Labeling it doesn't matter. And the napkin finish will really work well with delicate tissue. Make sure I don't put it upside down. And just lay it there. I can move it a little bit. That looks pretty good to me. And gently push it down. I don't mind if I have wrinkles. I actually don't mind at all if I have wrinkles. And what I was thinking about this would be cool to create maybe a faux leather on it. And I could use my, where is it? A texture tool. And it's softer than a credit card. softer than a palette knife, palette knife, okay, palette knife, and I can gently fuse the paper, the napkin, to the terra skin and still retain the wrinkles. Doing this works too, but now I've got medium came through, now I've got that on my hands. Ugh. But this gives you a really even, kind of like an even finish. I still have the wrinkles, but it's just really pushing that in there. Go over the edges. And I'm going to trim that off. I'm going to have that, and I'm going to apply another layer. And you can paint directly on this, but it's best to put another layer on there because paper is all made up of layers of fibers. So, oops, I've got the sun coming in. The paper is made up of layers of fibers, so if you were to try to do a lot of distressing on this, you might actually tear up the top layer. So I'm just going to seal it with this. You can also use matte medium. I found the matte medium to be a little bit thick for this particular tissue. Oh, look at that ray of sun. This heat wave, my poor plants. So I'm not watering my hostas. I'm conserving water. But, oh, they're looking pretty sad. And I'm going to be doing some, this type of thing too, in the idea of using tissue. I'm going to be using newspaper as well for in another journal. So cover that really nice. And you see how slow I'm going? Because I don't want to tear up the tissue. I'll cover that up. Oh, look at that sun. You wouldn't know that that sun's going to be evil in about an hour. Put that into a water bucket. And then I want to let this dry, and I'm thinking because it's so humid here, you're looking at about 20 minutes. Now, when you're working on, okay, so let me backtrack. When you're working on terra skin, because it's made of stone, it's not paper, it's not wood-based, it's made of stone, it doesn't absorb any of all this moisture. So it will actually dry faster. If you were doing this on, let's say, the 140-pound mixed media paper that I use, unprimed, putting all that medium on the paper first is just going to suck right into the paper, and you have to put more on. And then the more you put on, the more that paper is absorbing all that moisture, especially if it's fluid. So it's nice if you're going to do this type of thing, like just right from raw paper, apply a layer of gesso on it first, then collage your paper, and then it'll dry much faster. Okay, so I'm going to let this sit, and I'm going to leave that, and then I just wanted to just show you how to upcycle a piece, and I'm going to do a project on this, which I hope that you'll get some ideas. And it's not so much about a finished project, it's just about a technique that I want to show you. So I'll be back in a bit. It's all dry now, and we're going to start putting on some paint. Now I'm going to be using the Deco Art, the Americana Decor Chalky Finish paint, and I'm using Delicate and Escape. And beautiful yellow and blue paint. It's opaque, and so you stir it up with a popsicle stick, and like I use popsicle stick, stir it up really, really well, and then you can either use a trowel or a palette knife and just kind of scoop it up, or use the same popsicle stick and just put it on your palette. I'm going to be using a dry bristle brush, and this is why the medium on top of this was critical, because if I did this without putting the extra medium on, it would just rip up the tissue. Now I'm going to try this first to see, because this is quite rough. I may just end up going to a baby wipe. And I want to put a dry brush of this paint. And you notice I didn't trim the paper yet. And we're going to be doing a semi-opaque. What's the difference between semi-opaque and semi-transparent? You think semi-opaque is sort of transparent but more opaque, and semi-transparent is transparent but just a little bit opaque. So you're going to have transparent opaque, transparent, opaque, and then semi-transparent is here, and then semi-opaque is here. That's how I think of it. So I'm going to be putting this right up on here. I'm primarily going to be covering a lot of the white spots. And you can still see putting it on lightly, it still comes through. And if you know your color theory, what happens when you mix yellow and blue? I can't hear you. You get a green. And why I'm moving around is to let the parts dry, because if it's still not transparent enough, still not opaque enough, I will go back and put on a bit more paint. I don't want to keep putting wet paint on top of wet paint, because if it gets tacky, and then when you go to do this, the paint will actually come up. This paint is actually used for home decor. It works on wood and metal and a whole bunch of other stuff. I love the chalky finish of it. I use it in my regular art as well. And I've got a cute little project I'm going to be doing, which is so stupidly simple. Absolutely love it. It's going to be using the chalky finish paint, some paper, some metallics. I'm going to create an industrial piece. I'm going to do it in my journal first though. And now with this, we're going to let that dry. Put fresh paint on here. This took a little bit longer to dry. This was drying up, so I just put it aside. And I'm going to take a fresh bristle brush with the Escape, this blue. I'm going to start on the outside edge first. I'm going to be very particular where I put this, because we're going to be putting another glaze on top. So let's go right in here. And it's a little bit too opaque for me. Now I could add water to this, or let's try where's my Mr. I wasn't paying attention one time and I had it turned and it sprayed me in the face. That's better. So I'm just going to use a little J cloth. I still want it to be somewhat transparent, but I'm not putting the blue everywhere. So I'm going to frame this. You'll see why it'll make sense. You see little pink hearts still showing through. That's because of the Sharpie. Oh, let's get a little bit here. I want that word travel to be visible. And I love how the texture of the paper shows through. Okay, I'm liking that. And I'm making sure I don't have any hard edges, and that the outside is soft and diffused. I'm going to quickly hit this with a heat gun. And now I'm going to let it cool off for a few seconds. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're working on stone, the paper can get hot. So I want to make sure that that's nice and cool before I start painting on it. Nice and cool now. I've got a, whoops, my 3/4 inch glaze brush. And I usually would dip it in my bucket, but my bucket's full of the paint from the bristles. What you don't want is you don't want your brush having any of the chalky color on there, because what we're putting on now is transparent yellow iron oxide, which must remain transparent. Then we're going to let that dry. Then we're going to glaze over with transparent red iron oxide. So when I put this over, think of it as a transparent yellow ochre. And it's a beautiful color. So it's going to deepen the yellows, and then the greens, the blues will turn green. And this you can put on as many times as you want. I'm going to go over all the yellow first. And I'll just bring a little bit over to the blue. You don't have to cover up all the blue. And I just realized I am almost out of this and I don't have any left until my order comes in. I may have to go into with the traditions, which is that's the artist quality. It's thicker, it's not as fluid, so I have to add more water to that. Chaos hair, she must have been on this when I was getting my tea. Speaking about tea, you guys ever stained paper with tea? It's fun. I spilled tea on my paper and it turned out a really pretty color. Isn't that neat? So I'm going to leave some of the blue showing. If you find the paint's having a hard time getting on there, then you just need to add a little bit more water. Or you can also add some extender or even some matte medium. I'm going to use it all up. There we go. Now I don't need to clean my brush, but I am going to dry this with the heat gun. Okay, it's cooled off, and I'm just going to get a little bit more water. And into the transparent red iron oxide. I may do this with the little cloth, I'm not sure yet. I'll just get it to blot it up. You don't need to go over everything. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love this. So the transparent red iron oxide, think of it like a reddish brown, over the blue has a little bit of a violet shade to it, a violet tone. And look at those crackles, the tissue cracks coming through. I'm going to leave that. It has a bit more of a violet tone, whereas I'm applying this over the green part is turning more brown, which is where you get the nice vintage stuff. Because red and green don't really mix. Well, you can mix anything, just what they create. And when you're mixing paint, it turns into a chromatic black depending on the type of red and type of green. But this is more of a brownish, reddish orange. I'm darkening the edges where the spine is. And by laying the brush flat, I'm really able to take advantage of these cracks. Now watch, I'll do another one. Where is here? Because the paint's getting caught in all the wrinkles. And a bit more water. The water helps the paint get right inside all those wrinkles. And I want to make sure that I got dark paint on all the edges. This will automatically distress the edges. And you can be as detailed or as rough as you want. It's completely up to you. And you can't even see. You can't even make out the stuff underneath. So what a great way to upcycle a piece of art. And I'll just keep layering this, and then you choose when to stop. I really want to pick up that wrinkle. Okay, the water is evaporating in my brush. It's more paint now. Oops, there we go. I want this corner to be quite dark. And I've got that line there, so it's going to break that up a little bit. And I love that pop of yellow that comes in here. That is beautiful. And that's it. That's all there is about this type of background. Take existing art and just upcycle it into something else. No need to go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff, although yeah, I would support the economy, but you know what? If you got art sitting in the closet or stuff that's unfinished, what they call UFOs, unfinished objects, upcycle it into something else. Put it to good use. Used up all the paint. You know what I didn't do? I didn't age the edge here. Yeah, still can't talk and paint at the same time. And let's just do this way. And my hand's in the way, so I will probably finish this, just finish that off camera. I'm going to dry this, and then I will trim off all these edges, all this paper. Even better, just rip it off. Love the organic look to this. Torn page. Love that. It's easier doing this when it's wet. I get the natural tear. And I'm going to dry it. How beautiful is that? That is absolutely gorgeous. And doing this so you can easily see how well this works to create an actual piece of art. And you could leave it as is, or during the painting stage just leave some of the words more open. On this you can further build it by stamping or hand lettering some words, or even maybe just a photograph here with a brad nail, a little brad clip, and just to, you know, something on your travels. You can let the words of the tissue paper stand out and inspire your creation, or just leave it as is. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So that's it. You can choose to cut off the edges. I'm just going to cut just a little bit off, just where they're really sticking out. And this is because Chaos will start picking at this. OCD cat. And there is just a little bit of shine to this. Okay, what would really look really nice is metallic wax. But on this, if you want a completely flat finish, you can apply. Oh, be reach it. Some ultra matte varnish, and it'll totally mattify the whole thing. So you can do that as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this and got inspired about upcycling a piece of art. I would love to see a piece of art that you have upcycled. If you're comfortable, just email me a picture of the before and after. I would love to see it. Or better yet, join our private Facebook group. It's free. It's a whole bunch of artists of all different levels, and we like to feed off each other's ideas, and we can post tips and tricks and stuff like that, what's worked and what hasn't. So I would love to see you there as well. You can get my email address and the link to the private Facebook group on my website at artplace.ca. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, give a thumbs up on this, comment below what you thought of it, and if there's anything special you'd like me to cover, something that you're kind of wondering what to do but you're not sure, give me a shout out, let me know what it is, and I'll do my best to accommodate you. All right, time to clean up, off to the next video, and until then, stay inspired.